I've been wanting to do this little project for a while now, and someone gave me this old newel post, so I thought I'd use a bit of that. So I cut it down on the mitre saw. Ended up cutting it down to 121mm. It's just how it turned out, it wasn't planned. And as you see there, the edges are chamfered, so I need to remove them so it's sort of square edges, so it's like a rectangle. So just trimming them on the table saw. I had to do 2 passes each side, turning them upside down, just being very careful there. Get my hand out of the way. That's that done. And the size ended up being 81mm by 61mm. I'm just marking off now where I want the sort of the arch section in the centre each side, if you know what I mean. Just using the paint in there to get the arch what I want at the side. Just doing that both sides. That's where I'm going to cut it out. Just cutting them out now with a jigsaw. It wasn't that good of a cut really, because the blade didn't go all the way through the wood, so but it doesn't matter because I've got sandys anyway. See there, it didn't go all the way through. Did that both sides, and just got this drum sander attachment for my drill press. I'm just sanding it now both sides. Does a good clean up, that does, plus it keeps it square. Just marking the centre now with a line. This'll be where my grooves are. I'm just doing a centre line. And I've got this triangle file, so I'm just using that. I thought about setting something up for the table saw or the router, but I just ended up using a file. It turned out pretty good really. I'm just going across now with a file. I'm just marking the lines now, about every 6 or 7mm. Didn't really matter. And just repeating that on all of them with the file. Bit of a tedious process, but it needs to be done really. So repeated that all over. That's that all done. Now I've got this piece of thin steel now, and put some tape on to 35mm. That's how wide I want it, because that's how wide my drill bit is. My forcing bit is soon. Just using a thin cutter now on my grinder. Now I'm just getting all the way through with it. That's that done. Just placing it on the base now, and just marking roughly where I want the blade to be. Now I'm just placing the piece of steel now on a piece of thin hardboard, because I won't make a template, so I'll know where to drill later on. It'll come clear in a minute. I'm just doing a 35mm hole now with a Forstner bit. And just sanding it smooth. You could have cut this out of paper, anything really, but doing it that way, it just gives you the actual hole, what you can see. Just marking the centre of the piece. See what I mean there with the hole? You can actually see where the hole's going to be, so just marking that now. You could have used a compass, anything really, but I just wanted to do it that way. Just drilling it now down to the depth of the steel, whatever steel you use. Mine was it's only about 3 or 4 millimeters, so just kept making passes till I got the right depth. Just placing the steel over now. I'm just going down with a blade now to roughly the depth of the steel. Just marking it there with a pencil so you can see it. The same with the other side. It's a bit hard to record this whilst I'm just going down with the router now. I've set it to the depth of what I want the steel. I'm just taking that material out now with the router. It was a bit hard for record really. You can just see there taking all the material out. And by doing the blade, it stops you going past where you need to cut out. I'll get as close as I can to that. Then just removing that bit now with the chisel. The chisel was an old chisel, it was rubbish, so I struggled a bit there, but some new chisels really. See, by doing the blade it gives you a really nice edge. Just trying it now. It is a good tight fit. Yeah, I was happy with that. Now using the same template as before, I'm just marking the circle now on the steel. Just cutting that out with the grinder, just getting close to the line. It's actually a cutting disc on that, not a grinding disc. Now using the grinder again with a flappy pad on the end now. It's basically like tall pieces of sandpaper folded over. Just kept doing that now close to the line until I was happy with it. Just tapping it into place now. I've got a really good fit on that. Yeah, I was happy with that. For some reason I didn't show cutting it down to size there. What I'm doing here now, I'm just clamping it on the bench, and I just want sort of the blade effect on the blade. I'm just scoring it there with the cutter, and just using that sanding disc earlier what I had in the drill press, and just sort of tapering it off. Now I'm just using some wet and dry paper now, just try and smooth it out. And that's it, that's all that done. It isn't perfect, but it's not too bad really. Right, I've got a bolt now. I want it to look like the big screw on the pencil sharpener. So I'm just drilling a hole there and putting the bolt in, a piece of scrap wood. And what I'm doing now, I'm just creating a groove in the top so it looks like a flathead screw. Just cutting that out now with the grinder. I'm just filing it now with a file just to widen it a bit. Just cutting it down to size really, it's only got to slot in. That's that done. Now back to the piece of steel. Now I'm just drilling the hole now to accept that bolt. Just using a bit of WD-40 there just for cool it a little bit. That's that done. I'm just trying it there, making sure it fits, which it does. Right, I'm just trying to polish it up a bit now, but I had no metal polish. Maybe some like T-cut or something like that I'll do, but I didn't have any at all, so I'll probably do that another day, just try to buff it up a little bit, but that did a little bit, but not too much. Just finding the centre now of the base. I'm just drilling down now with a 40mm Forstner bit. That's the biggest one I had. For some reason, I don't know why I didn't drill in the centre, so I don't know, maybe I was rushing it. But it's slightly off centre, but doesn't really matter. I wouldn't mind to go a little bit bigger really, but that's the biggest one I had. And just using that little sander now just to smooth it out inside. Just giving it a good sand over now with my little electric sander. And that's all the components there, all done. Do whatever colour you want really. I just got this this dye, so I just use that. So brushing it on now. Just doing the side of it. So just let it soak in a little bit, then just wiping it off now with a rag, the excess. And did that all over, as well as the top and the insides. Same again, just wiping the excess off. I did this, then I sanded it down. I think I did it 3 times with the sanding in between, so it's actually quite smooth now. And that's that done. Just putting some super glue now on the base. I actually did this, then I forgot to record, so I had to pull it off, but I did it again. So just putting some super glue on, tapping that into place. Just need to go down a little bit with the drill bit, only a few millimeters. Dusting that off, putting a bit of super glue in the hole. And just tapping that into place. And that's that done. Just got a sheet of 1mm foam and just placing the sharpener onto the bottom of it. And just drawing around it with a pen. Just going cutting that out now. I couldn't find a ruler there now to use a card. Just did it a little bit smaller than the base so it didn't stick out. And just using some super glue now. All over the bottom. Just placing it on the base. Push some pressure on and just turning it around now and pushing it down, and I just left something on top of it a bit heavy for a short while. And that's it, all done. I hope you enjoyed it. Just a good little project using scrap materials, and looks pretty good really. So if you like it, please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you.
Wow.